we left off with our dear protagonist looking for a teacher, a supplementary teacher. There has been a very mysterious figure in her life named Sid, who has began to tell her a story about the secrets of immortality, which is a profound idea in and of itself. And when he felt that she was ready, a book appeared on her desk, but the book was written in a script and a language that she wasn't familiar with. The language is Sanskrit, and the script is Devanagari. So she went to find a teacher that could help her learn Devanagari and Sanskrit. I hope this reading relaxes your mind and awakens your heart. It had become our practice to cap off each lesson with a cup of sweet tea, fragrant with cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves, over which she took great pains, accompanied by cakes with pink icing that I brought from the sweet shop next door. On one occasion, when my teacher was particularly pleased with my progress, I presented the book, The Seer and the Seen. As she poured the tea from a heavy cast-iron kettle into 2 flowery china cups, I saw my chance and began in a ringing tone. This is how I understand it. The first few verses make the argument that anything that undergoes change is ultimately unreal. The eye, for example, sees the world, say a blue flower. Over time, the blue flower wilts and dies, and the eye perceives this change. The blue flower is temporary, and therefore not real. Am I understanding this correctly? I asked. She did not answer, but I continued. However, the eye also changes, becoming dull or blurred over time. These changes in the eye are perceived by the mind, which seems a constant, but the mind itself changes. And now the question is, who is the witness that changes in the mind? Witness consciousness. Or who witnesses the changes in the mind? The witness consciousness. She placed a cup of tea in front of me. What does this imply? I persisted. Steady clanging issued from the front of the shop. Muthu, Miss Nandi's nephew, was repairing windows shattered by the last storm. He had been introduced to me earlier as C. Murugan, M.A. Pas, aka Muthu. He called himself Mr. Fix-It and drove a taxi that he claimed he had assembled himself. He was a good-looking boy in his 20s, slight but muscular, with a sullen smile and insolent attitude, large mocking black eyes and long thick black hair that he tied back in a convoluted knot. He has no proper job, Miss Nandi whispered. Can you find something for him at your domicile? He is M.A. Pass. What does that mean? M.A. Pass. Does that have to do with a master's degree? I don't know. I'll keep an eye open, I said. Angry young man, like angry young men come across the globe, overeducated and underutilized. I drank the tea. She nibbled on a cake. When the clanging stopped at the front door, as it slammed shut, I pressed on. This observer of the mind is called the witness consciousness, the I consciousness, described as neither rising nor setting, neither growing nor decaying. It is the eternal witness of birth and decay, existence and non-existence. It is without parts. She nimbly raised herself from the floor and wandered over to a work table, where she assiduously began wrapping 2 books with crumpled brown paper. I can only teach alphabet, grammar, she said, regretful but firm. I cannot teach Brahma Vidya, secret knowledge. For that, you need a guru. Maybe I can find a guru for you." "Not necessary," I said curtly. "I don't need a guru. I would only like to know about the mind. The mind is regarded highly in the West, but here it is given short shrift." "The mind is crucial," she objected. "The mind is sentient, and it is only the mind that can manifest consciousness. It is only through the mind that we get a glimpse of consciousness. Come, look here." I moved to the table, where on a piece of scrap she drew a child's drawing of the sun with rays going forth. Imagine the sun shining on a bucket of water. Now she was carefully drawing several buckets in profile with wavy lines denoting water. Incident rays striking the water and reflected rays darting up at various angles were added to the bucket profiles. "The bucket is the body," she said. "The water is the mind, and consciousness is the sun. The water is the best medium to reflect the sun, not the bucket. Remember, this is a metaphor. The condition of the water, dirty, clear, still, turbulent, will affect the reflection, but the sun is not affected, correct?" "Yes." We make such a terrible mistake when we eagerly and without question assume that the reflection on the water is the sun itself. We are satisfied and we don't look further. This is important to understand. The mind is in its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. I quoted sententiously. What is this word? Sententiously. "That you can say," she agreed. "Milton said it. English poet." "No problem." He can also say, "Why not? The mind masquerades as consciousness. Mind is a mischief maker, a joker, filling you with false ideas. I am short, I am fat, I am clever, I am beautiful, I am sad, I am happy, no one loves me. Mind takes you up high and brings you crashing back down. But it is only through the mind that awareness, enlightenment, is possible." "I think, therefore I am," I retorted. "100% correct," she said, "but correct only for the small I, the lowercase I. The I who is sitting here, who came here, who decided to come here, your I-ness, your limited I-ness, your ego, unaware, ignorant. The mind is present, but you, the real you, are not the mind." "Then who am I?" I asked. She returned to her book wrapping, and I knew what to expect. "For that, Guru must be there," she said. "I am not Guru." I collected my books and rose to leave. She put out a hand to stop me. "Where are you going? Come, sit. We will have more tea and cake, and I will tell you a nice story." From the kettle she replenished our cups and cleared an upholstered armchair of papers and books for herself. I sat clutching my books to my chest, poised to make a break for it at any moment. She began. "This famous story is called The 10th Boy. 10 boys go out on an outing. It is summer holidays, so no school. They are happy, running through fields, forests, singing, talking, laughing. The boys come to a river and swim across. The leader of the boys counts to check if all are safe. He counts. Only 9 boys. Ayo, ayo! I count only 9. Where is the 10th? He yells. He counts again and again. He runs everywhere, trying to find the lost boy, and finally decides that the boy must have drowned. He sits under a tree and cries bitterly. An old man comes by. "Why are you crying, my boy?" he asks. The boy explains, "There were 10 of them. Now there are only 9. One must have drowned." The old man surveys the boys huddled together, and he counts 10 boys. "There are 10 boys here, not 9, the old man says. The boy looks up. He is relieved. He wants to believe the old man, but he is confused. He only sees 9 boys. So the old man lines up all the boys, including the leader, and counts off each one. There are 10. "You did not count yourself," the old man explains. "You're the 10th boy. You are the one you thought you lost." The boy now understands, and he is happy. The old man goes on his way. Miss Nandi fell silent. "Does this mean something?" I asked ungraciously. "Does the story relate to the text? Sorry, I don't understand." "What is it that you don't understand?" she asked. "The leader of the 10 boys, a dull fellow, counts the boys and forgets to count himself." "I get that. I've done that myself," I said. "I once gave a dinner party for 6 guests and laid the table for 6. I forgot to include myself. Very embarrassing." "Yes." She eyed me suspiciously, as if attempting to imagine me setting a table for 6. "That could happen," she nodded. "Anyway, the 10th boy knew he himself was alive, but he was unaware, ignorant. Ajanya. This lack of knowledge creates a veil. He cannot see a 10th boy, so he right away projects surely the 10th boy must have drowned. First there is ignorance, then there is veiling, avarna, and finally projection, vikshepa. Good so far?" "Yes, of course," I said. The old man comes, counts all 10 boys. "Look," he says, "the 10th boy is alive." This is good news for the boy to hear, but how can he believe it? When he counts, there are still only 9 boys. This is indirect knowledge, paroksha jnana. The old man lines up the boys and he counts them off. 1, 2, 3, until he reaches 9. Then he points to the leader. "You are the 10th. You forgot to count yourself," he says. This is direct knowledge, aparoksha jnana. That's exactly what my boyfriend Rory said when he saw I had set the table for 6. "You did not count yourself." She seemed skeptical, and for a moment I thought she was going to ask me about Rory, but she was not the one to be distracted. "The boy understands," she went on in spite of my mocking resistance. "He stops crying and attains shoka nivritti, cessation of sorrow. The old man leaves. The 10th boy is content. He is endowed with trupti, fulfillment and liberation. Now do you understand?" "No," I said, stubbornly refusing to make the slightest effort. A sudden vision of Rory's broken body, trapped in the car wreckage, surfaced. My breathing became uneven. I'm out of breath, I thought. I need to breathe. Count and breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. Panic attacks can strike at any time. Do you not see how the 10th boy goes through the 7 stages of life until he is free? She asked, oblivious to my difficulties. 7 stages? I inhaled deeply, settling down. What 7 stages? The first 3 are bondage, and the last 4 lead to moksha, liberation. Liberation from what? I asked. Liberation from rebirth and suffering. Then I suppose I am on stage 1, unaware and ignorant, I said. Maybe stage 3, she said. Projection. I just need an old man to come along. She touched the text. Perhaps he has come. You mean Sid? Don't think so. I'm not sure why he sent this book. First he insisted I was not prepared, even though after his listing of the mandatory qualifications, discernment, dispassion, serenity, and so on, I believe he was mistaken. She seemed puzzled. I'm eminently prepared, I said. How so? She asked. I proceeded with an unexpurgated, is that how I pronounce this word? Amount of where I had been for the last 5 years, or account of where I had been. This heartless world cannot be real, I said. I know that. I have become numb myself. When 5 small girls who had been beaten, burned, and abandoned near the convent where I work, I took comfort in the prevailing view that this was their fate, their karma, that convenient catch-all. You see, no one is more detached than I am. The world, seeming unreal because it is a cruel place, is neither discernment nor detachment, she boldly corrected me. Teenagers will say something is unreal when it is fantastic. That is not an understanding of reality, and detachment is not being numb to experience. To be detached is to feel deeply, but without agency, without that clinging to, grabbing, making everything that happens all about you, that small, limited you. Here, take this. She handed me a Rudraksha mala, 108 beads. I have tied a green ribbon at every 27th bead. Good for counting, chanting, memorizing. She stacked the wrapped packages and put away the ball of string. She arranged herself in the armchair and smoothed the pleats of her sari. I slumped in my chair. A burning desire for this knowledge overrides all the other qualifications, she said finally. Maybe you have that one. Thank you for listening. We'll pause our reading of Moksha, liberation, there for now. So, clearly, our dear supplementary teacher, Miss Nandi, has instructed our dear protagonist to embark on the quest of truth, recounting the story of the 10th boy, and inspiring her to search for Brahma Vidya, knowledge that leads to the cessation of suffering and the origin of peace in a qualified teacher, a guru. I look forward to continuing reading with this continue reading this with you next time.